I'm not editing any of this. So
that's your mistake.
So this is all. Should I have my laptop or something? Are we gonna Google stuff?
If you want, I mean, if you feel like you need it, this right here is my laptop.
I'm looking at the camera, and your shorts are, I think, past dress code. Like, I'm kind of offended that you wore those.
We can do the finger test where I have to hold my hands and see if they hang below.
I mean, it's just being you and the microphone.
Do you feel uncomfortable?
I do. I feel like this is the first real conversation we're going to have together.
Listen, these puppies right here are built for speed and for comfort. If somebody breaks into this church and tries to murder us, your jeans are going to hold you back. I'm going to be like 3 blocks away because I'm fast as a cheetah with these things on. So you brought that on yourself.
All I have to do is outrun you.
That's obviously not going to happen.
I run every day. I run every day. Every day.
We can race.
Hey Siri, what's today's date?
It's Monday, May 3rd.
No, I mean, what's
2019.
What's
that really worked out well. How much did you pay for that cup of coffee? Does Shelly know about that? Is that in your...
She doesn't listen to the podcast anyway, so I don't care. No, I went to this bougie cafe, Ascension.
I heard about that place. I mean, I don't know what Dave Ramsey would say about $8 cup of coffee.
Well,
that's fine. That's cool.
It's the same place where you probably bought your shorts. Let me just tell you that.
Amazon?
Oakland.
This is already derailing.
Oh, gosh. I'm not editing any of this. Come on. Is this going to be political or is this going to be funny?
Dude, it can be whatever you want it to be. We can talk about...
Look, if you were just let your guard down and let me into your life, we could change the world.
I'm letting you into, like, 10 inches of thigh. You're really upset about it.
No, I'm just... I need, like, a barricade. I
didn't mean to cause you to stumble.
Yeah, you're...
We'll just give a shout out to your Covenant Eyes partner, and they can just, like, pray for you right now.
Okay. You're getting me off track.
Dude, you wanted to talk about my shorts. I was like, let's talk about them.
I don't want to talk about your shorts.
I prefer a shorter short. If your shorts go below your knee, they're not shorts, they're longs. That's the way I view it.
Oh, man. I just didn't...
Do you see what I did there with the words?
Yeah.
Instead of shorts, they're longs.
Back to my first thing.
Yeah.
Every time I meet you, you always cap on me, and it kind of hurts my feelings.
I'm sorry.
And I think that if you were to let your guard down and let me into your life, I think that we could be best friends. But you just don't want that.
Is this like a Step Brothers moment? That we're gonna go do karate in the garage?
No, not anymore. Okay, now I have to leave this pillow here because if I move it...
Well, you need it for continuity purposes. Since you're not editing, it's got to be there for continuity purposes.
Don't look at the camera. Look at me.
I'm not looking at the camera.
It's just me and you and the mic. I don't even know if anybody's watching this or listening to this. I got 30 views on the other ones.
Put your phone away. It's rude. We're having a conversation.
Okay. So you told me that you was a shrimp boat captain?
I mean, I am from Alabama, but I'm not a shrimp boat captain. I do have a pretty Forrest Gump style life. I mean, if you want to get down to it, which is also a great movie.
Oh,
easily in my top 5.
Top 5? Why is it number 1?
Oh man,
I gotta make sure because after like 29 minutes that shuts off, so I just have to watch it. Oh, I'm throwing you off now. The technicality. Okay, tell me about your shrimp boat life.
It wasn't a shrimp boat.
You really was a captain though.
So, well, back to the first question about why is it not number 1? Man, I don't know. Wait a minute, I thought you said Forrest Gump was your favorite movie. I mean, it probably is, but there's some.
You said top 5 and number 1 is total different.
Well, I'm one of those people where I can't settle. It's like asking a favorite band. I can't just tell you a favorite band. I can give you 2 or 3 that I can go to and know album by album and just pop off lyrics.
2005, what's your favorite band?
Take It Back Sunday. Or Under Oath. They're only chasing safety.
Take It Back Sunday, 2005 was my second favorite band.
Further Seems Forever is also good, which me and Derek talk about. They're really good. How to Start a Fire, one of the best opening tracks I've ever heard on an album.
Have you ever seen TBS live?
Yes.
Are they the best band live?
So I saw them in 2000. So they went on tour with Angels and Airwaves. They co-headlined.
I saw that.
So I saw them with Angels and Airwaves in Atlanta, and it was phenomenal. So we're sitting there, me and my buddy and his ex-girlfriend. It was really awkward. And then a friend went. And so our friend Ashley was sitting up in the stands. We all had floor seats. So we're down there. Angels and Airwaves is playing first before Taking Back Sunday. And they're playing this set, and then it goes like an instrumental thing, and Tom DeLonge goes off stage. So then a spotlight comes up, and we look up, and we see our friend Ashley. She's up there with her T-Mobile sidekick, texting somebody, and Tom DeLonge takes like 2 steps towards her and begins to sing a song and like brushes her hair behind her ear, and she's like messing with her sidekick. And we're like, it's Ashley, look, it's Ashley. Like,
She didn't even know?
Yeah, well, she looked up, and then you could just like see her melt into her chair.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I would love for Tom DeLonge to brush my hair behind my ear. Like, straight up, I don't care. Dude's awesome. So yeah, he just like, yeah, it was really sweet. It was cool.
I met Mark Hoppus and Travis Barker in New York.
Really?
Yeah, back before.
I've never seen Blink live, but they're about to go on tour with Lil Wayne or something, which I will not go be seeing.
I can't.
Or I will not go see, or however.
I was in New York, and this is before Christ, and I see.
When you're writing pages to your testimony, I did that a few times.
What?
Writing BC when you're writing pages for your testimony.
Yeah, and it's not done because our testimony's prolonging or
Oblonging.
I might cut that out.
No, you can't cut that out. You already said you're not editing. If you
I'm
edit
not
this, I will
editing
literally
anything.
burn this church to the ground.
Oh my gosh!
Okay, well, maybe
they don't
not
know that
that.
we're in a church. We're like, someone might listen to this like, oh my gosh, they're desecrating it. We're gonna stay on top.
What was?
I don't know.
All right, we're talking about.
We're talking about like 8. We're talking about 5 different things in one. Forrest Gump, Blink-182, my story with Mark
It's a good
Hoppus and
rabbit
Travis
trail.
Barker.
This is a really good rabbit trail, though. So wrap up your story with Mark and.
I don't want to tell it anymore. Okay, they were coming down the escalator. And it's me, I'm like 22, but everybody else is like 13-year-old girls. And I was screaming louder than all of them. I was like, ah! I said some really obscene things that I don't want to say on this podcast that I was screaming out. And then when I got to them, I was like, oh my God. Like there was one, they were in Plus 44.
Yeah.
So there's
that punk band that they did, the side project.
Like one album. And I was talking to Travis Barker and Mark Hoppus. And I was like, oh my God, I love you guys. Whatever you guys make. Oh, bye. And these other 2 guys in the band were just standing there. I didn't even talk to them. I didn't care.
Yeah, no one cares about those guys.
Yeah.
It's like Boxcar Racer, which actually turned into Angels and Airwaves. I mean, there's a couple lineup changes, but basically Boxcar Racer.
Except Travis Barker was.
Travis Barker, they got a different drummer, and then I want to say it's the same other guys.
Boxcar Racer, 2001, 2002.
No, it was. Well,
that was
you're
super.
right. Yeah, because that was when I
15.
lived in Gardendale, Alabama.
How old are you? 33? 32?
32. I was born in 87. Dude, Boxcar Racer was so good. I feel so. Yeah, hit the spot, dude. All the feels.
Emo.
There was this. There's a thing on Facebook. I think it's is it Young and Aspiring? There's some emo page, and they just post music all the time. Dude, they
I write you on Facebook. You never write me back. I'm like, oh, yeah. You're talking to your best friend Derek, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know. Take It Back 72. Remember this? And like, you don't reply to me, and I'm like, wow, that's
Do you
really
really
sad.
know them, though?
I know them. I've been to like 2 of their concerts. I have every CD.
Did you know that homeboy Adam Lazar lived in Fort Worth for a while?
No, I didn't know that.
So you don't know them.
This is before the internet. I wasn't on the internet
On the line
in 2005. I know. I wasn't doing that.
It's fine. It's no big deal.
Okay.
I mean, there's fans, and then there's me and Derek who are actually fans.
It's Derek and I, if we're going to talk English.
I'm from Alabama.
Oh,
Funny story, I'm having to go back and learn grammar because I'm going back to school. I'm taking English 102 here in like 4 weeks, and I have forgotten so much. Dude, social media has just destroyed good grammar.
Yeah, I don't know how to talk.
Like subject verb agreements, like all that kind of stuff. I'm having to go through and like, oh man, what are the rules? Punctuation. Oh my gosh, I'm going to go through and really try to, because I didn't pay attention in high school. Like I didn't care. So I didn't learn the way they taught. So now I'm having to get ready to go back to school to get a degree. And
I wrote 2 blogs, and I can't publish them yet because my wife hasn't edited them yet. Edited them?
Kayla's going to have to proofread pretty much everything that I do.
Was you a brand new fan?
Yes.
Did you hear about Lacey? Justin Lacey? What's his name? Jesse Lacey? The whole pedophilia thing or whatever?
No.
You didn't hear about that? Supposedly, like, he...
Back in the day?
No, like...
Or recently?
Like a couple years ago. I don't know. Either he, like, allegedly sexually assaulted someone, or... that was it. He, like, moved on... He took advantage of, like, a 15-year-old girl when he was, like, 22 or something. And he wrote this big, long, I'm sorry... And like the band like dismembered or something. You didn't hear about that?
No, I know, but they played recently. They played Austin City Limits a couple years ago. I mean, maybe that was right before, because I was watching some of their live stuff on YouTube. So I know I want to say that they've played recently, but I mean, I could be wrong. The year I think was like 2016, 2017.
Man,
But-
I don't have a Jamie that can look stuff up on the dot, and it
We need
takes too long to
somebody-
do this.
We need somebody to
I
sit
know.
here on the laptop and
So so tell me your not shrimp boat. You really was an Alaskan sailor though.
Alaskan sailor. Yeah,
was it?
I was a pirate.
No, you wasn't.
Yeah, I was just out there pillaging, dude, getting smoked salmon and elk meat.
You know, I used to be a
Moose.
police officer.
Yeah, were you a police officer or were you like a volunteer sheriff's deputy, like Dwight Schrute kind of thing? Because you take me, I take you as more of like the, like you used to. Oh, there's
No, I
Dwight,
really
let me put up some-
was.
Let me spray some chalk around it.
No, I was real popo. It was a college campus, but still.
Oh, you're campus police.
I was, but the key word in that sentence,
Rent-a-cop.
police. That's not correct.
That's rent-a-cop.
That is incorrect.
Campus of everyone.
I would get that all the time.
If I text
and I would take
any of
people,
my friends right now.
Yeah, and they would be going to jail if they came across Officer Cassidy.
Oh man, look at me! I got a nightstick and some pepper spray. Watch out, guys!
I had a real gun.
It was like, have you seen the other guys? It was like that that wooden pistol. It was more ceremonial than anything else.
I really was a cop, okay? People, I would get called, they're like, oh, kid, rent a cop, and then I
pull
would
up on your
freaking
Segway?
take them to jail.
It's Paul Blart.
That's terrible.
How'd you take me to jail on your Segway? Or your at least have a golf cart.
That's
Like,
really...
you have to zip tie him to the back of the golf cart and just take him in so the real officers can actually deal with him, put him in the drunk tank.
Cops get called a lot of things, and they act like it doesn't affect them, but it really does hurt their feelings.
I tell you what, I got pulled over last Saturday because I have a headlight out and I have neglected getting it fixed. And it was up in Westlake, Roanoke, going to work up there.
Oh my.
And I'll tell you what, it was one of the most pleasant experiences I've ever had. That officer, super, super nice. I mean, it was actually really nice. We had a good conversation.
I wish
I've never had an issue with the cops. Some people do, apparently. This has been a hot topic. But I've always been respectful and turned the lights on inside the car when you get pulled over.
was you the guy I'm just reaching for my wallet, sir, and you have your hands up in front of your face?
I'll pull over, roll the window down, I turn the interior lights on so they can
Do you
see
put your
what's going
hazard
on.
lights on? Do you think that's helping them?
No, I don't turn my hazards because, I mean, they've got the berries and cherries blaring pretty loud in the back. So. What, dude? I mean, the truth.
The berries and cherries.
You never heard that?
Oh, I'm lightheaded.
See, I can tell you're not about that life. Like when I was back in
Oh, my
Madison,
God.
Huntsville, Alabama, just running the streets with my boys.
Screets.
Yeah, berries and cherries all day long.
That's what
Officer
I really want
Fox,
to talk to you about.
right now. Anybody back home who used to party back in high school, Officer Fox, they all know who he is. Don't mess with that guy.
Have you ever been arrested?
No.
Do you want to secretly kind of get arrested?
No, but I do have a really good get arrested story that some buddies of mine had.
what is
we
that?
were in Tanzania doing mission work, and some of the teams that we worked with. So I was outside of Dar es Salaam, and then I was on the world race. So some of y'all might know what that is.
Okay. I
Well,
don't
hang-
know
well,
if
let me
you're
just-
telling the truth or not.
I'm not. No, I promise.
The world race.
99.9% of the stories I will tell you will be completely true.
Okay, Tanzania. I feel
Tanzania, East Africa.
feel
It's in the
geography.
African Horn. So you have Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. I think is south of it. So then you have Zanzibar, the island where Freddie Mercury's from, is right off the coast of Tanzania.
Metal Gear 2 or Metal Gear 1.
Solid.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll play the game.
Was it okay, get off
PS1.
topic. Go
All right,
tell your story.
So we're in Tanzania, and some buddies of mine, their team is on a game reserve where they're driving in the back of or riding in the back of the car, going back and forth from the pastor's place to the other villages and doing all their stuff. Well, they saw I guess it was like a water buffalo skull or something that was just there. So they walked back and they picked it up and they were gonna ship it home. So they're walking with this like water buffalo skull or something, and this Jeep or Land Rover or whatever pulls up with all these military guys or officers with AK-47s, and they draw down on them and they get arrested for poaching. Because you can't, once an animal dies, you have to leave its remains. You can't take it because they can go on the black market and sell it, I guess, and it's like this whole big ordeal. So they got arrested for poaching in Africa. Then they had to pretty much have their parents, I think, wire money to the pastor. The pastor had to take money and bribe them out of jail because we were leaving like 2 or 3 days later. So they had to bribe them out of jail. Then their parents, when we got to Asia, they had to get with their parents to wire money back to the pastor to pay him back for all the bribe money he had to pay to the Tanzanian government for them to not go to prison for poaching.
How long were they in jail?
Such a dope story. I mean, I think it was a couple days. But dude, if you want a good arrested story, that's easily top 5. So my phone's ringing. Make sure it's not
Please
off.
put your phone on airplane mode while you're
Well,
this.
my wife is about to pop with the baby, so I need to actually.
Oh, my
Yes,
gosh.
we are literally like right there, so I can't.
When does the baby due?
Into May, beginning of June.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you saw her Sunday. She's very pregnant, so thank you for.
No, I didn't.
No, it's fine. Obviously, it's fine. It's no big deal.
I have nothing to say about that.
Hey, Kayla, I'll pick you up and take you to the hospital in a second. I just want to finish this podcast with Josh.
Oh my god.
We're right in the middle of a really good cut talking about poaching, so hang on just a second.
Well, a jet just flew by.
That was probably a motorcycle, but it's fine.
You know, sometimes I like to give the listeners an imagination of what's really happening. Of the people that are not watching the video.
Listener.
What'd I say?
You said listeners. Obviously,
They're listening to the
well,
thing.
there's probably only one, is what I'm getting at. But speaking of that, have you ever listened to, I guess, the band Listener? It's like talk music. It's almost more like
No,
spoken
I've
word
never heard that.
Really good. So the Chariot did a song, and he did like a poetry breakdown in one of their songs. It's pretty dope. But yeah, some of their stuff. There's only one that I really really like. I'm trying to think of the name of it. But it's like about these ships in the ocean. It's just really cool. But Listener is pretty dope. Going back to music. Sorry.
Never heard
But yeah,
of them.
arrested for poaching. Cool story.
So you grew up in Alabama.
The great state of Alabama.
How long did you live there? Because obviously you live here.
I was actually born on Fort Rucker, and then I was put up for adoption. So my parents, whom are white, adopted. When I say parents, I mean the parents that raised me.
Yeah.
They had 2 biological kids, and then they adopted years later 4 biracial kids, all from different families. So
Yeah.
there was David, my older brother. Well, there's Carrie and Norval Jr. We call him Bubba. Those are my parents' biological kids. And they adopted David from a family, then Katie from a family, then me from a family. Then a few years later, they adopted my little sister Molly from a family. So now you have these white parents raising these black kids.
All of them were black?
We're all like mixed. We're all biracial. But
Yeah,
I mean, in
yeah.
Alabama in the late 80s, early 90s, you're black. So
Golly.
yeah, I was to kind of become a joke at work because I just have some really funny stories from growing up of just how crazy it was. But like we were in USA Today. My mom actually sent me some of the clippings recently. But we were the cover story of USA Today back in like 93 or 94, somewhere back in there. And for some reason, my parents, I don't know why, and they're probably going to see this and just, I don't know what they're going to think. But for some reason, they thought it was a good idea. So for this picture, we're all sitting on the back porch. It's my parents, their kids, and all the kids are out there.
Yeah.
And we're all back there eating watermelon. So you've got this like white family, and then these black kids all like there. We're all this big family, this big like conglomerate of people just back there. We're just like going face deep in some watermelon. And then if you read the actual article, it says white kids, black parents. And it's just like...
Why
it was such a crazy bubble.
What was the article for?
I mean, it was just, that was a time where you had white, at that time in that state, you had white parents they didn't want a black kid just because there was just an awkward stigma that kind of came with it. And then you had black parents, were predominantly black men, they did not want to raise another man's child. So you had all these kids, they wanted to have all the fun, but then when push came to shove, you have all these kids that are in adoption agencies and in group homes and going through all that kind of stuff, and nobody wants to take care of them. So we all have different backgrounds. You know, I know with David and Katie, I want to say that there was some drug issues and some other stuff, and mine, I want to say probably the military background and careers probably played a big role in my situation, but I don't know the full story because I've never met my parents, and there's only so much information you can get. And now my little sister Molly, her story is actually, she was featured on Fox News.
Wow.
And she was Miss Homecoming at Auburn University, War Eagle, back in 2014, she was Miss Homecoming.
Yeah.
So when they do that, I think they nominate three women, and then they have to pick a platform. And they came up with this idea. Some friends of ours came up with this idea of Light Up Life, because Molly's just a real bubbly personality, real sweetheart, and they wanted her to use her story. So we were all adopted through Lifeline Adoption Agency, and Molly used women's, what's the right way to phrase it? It wasn't necessarily like a pro-life stance. I mean, it was, but it was more of helping women find the resources like Lifeline so that they can make an educated pro-life choice. There's options other than abortion.
Yeah.
So in Molly's instance, her mom was a victim of sexual assault, and the husband of the wife said, if you don't abort that child, that's it. It's over.
Yeah.
That woman, her grandparents lived in Alabama, in Birmingham. Mm-hmm. So for some reason, she just did not feel right about getting an abortion, even though the circumstances were dire. And you hear, that's the thing, is you hear this in the whole political spectrum right now. Well, what about a rape case? And what about this? What about that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, for my family, I mean, we have 4 kids that could have easily been aborted. And,
wow.
you know, it's just they went down a different road. So, I mean, yeah, we see all these different circumstances, but there's just a lot more to it than what people realize. So, with her mom, she left her husband, went to Birmingham. Her grandparents and her got together with Lifeline, where I want to say my dad and mom were on the board. But that's where my parents helped kind of counsel her, and then she gave birth to Molly, and we adopted her. So that's my little sister. So that was the platform she ran on, and it was kind of cool because when she ran for Miss Homecoming at Auburn, she wasn't Greek. She didn't have any kind of sorority affiliation. She was just backed by the horticulture club because she was a horticulture major. And most of the people who run have strong Greek affiliations, and you know, obviously the fraternities and sororities kind of band together and really kind of push what they do, which is rightfully so. That's what they do. You know, they're together and they kind of do that life. So for her to come in and to not be Greek affiliated and to really move people the way she did with her story was pretty incredible. So of course it kind of grew, and then she wound up being on Fox and Friends in the morning, and you know, it was just a really cool way for her to get her story out there, and just, you know, so people could see the other side of the pro-life argument, because there is another side of those of us who have been lucky enough to be adopted. And obviously and this is kind of shifting more political, but obviously, yes, there has to be better and more resources so families can adopt. I mean, Kayla and I have talked about adoption. I'll absolutely want to adopt one day.
I've heard through studying. Obviously, I've had the argument with people about like aborting babies, and I'm pro-life.
Yeah, me too.
And people say, "Well, I don't know the system. Like, oh, it's so hard for people to adopt."
It is hard. Is it needs
easier?
to be. I mean, you don't just want anybody to be able to have access to a child. You need to protect the child.
Like they say, it's easier to have an abortion than.
And that's that's absolutely true. It's way easier, way more convenient to have an abortion than to adopt a kid, and it's way cheaper. And that's where I feel like there has become some form of political reform, because you have to make it more accessible for people who are willing to open their doors, people who have been vetted, that are good-hearted people who just want to see a child have a home.
Like the chick in Angels and Airwaves. I mean, Angels in the Outfield.
Yeah, like Angels in the Outfield. What a great movie. Danny Glover, he just saved those kids' day. Came in and adopted them. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, you have to make it. It's such a good movie. That's classic.
Dude, that makes me cry, man.
It's like, so good.
Freaking...
Yeah, the whole stadium's doing it. He goes out there. Is that the one where he throws that last pitch and the guy just wrecks it, but he catches it? So he kept him out there, and there was no angels. Just So total spoiler warning.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. I don't know why the Angels didn't come back.
Because he had to fight that battle himself, man.
I don't remember, but I think they still did.
He had to overcome himself, and he realized at the end that his arm might not be the best, but he still got what it takes to win the game and to pull it out.
That's very
so deep. A lot of wisdom in that movie.
Sorry.
It's fine. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, that's kind of probably another topic for another day. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, there needs to be work there, obviously, because I mean, I have a lot of friends. When I was in high school, I did a lot of art. I have a lot of hardcore liberal atheist friends, people that I dearly love, good people. I mean, a lot of us kind of grew apart, but they're probably more acquaintances now. But people I went to high school with, there's just a mutual respect. So I've got a lot of friends on my Facebook that they post a lot of stuff just very much against what's happening right now, and I can see why they're frustrated. But I also, because I lived it, you know, I see the value in life, and I see the value that you don't know what a person's going to offer no matter what the circumstance. So
my mind is going everywhere right now with
we kind of jumped around a little bit
with Twitter and, you know, pro-life and like racism and things you say that
racism is a joke. It's a joke. That's going to piss a lot of people off. It's a joke.
Tell me.
And this is coming from somebody who grew up in So, I mean, to put it in perspective.
I've known some wicked racist people.
So have I.
Like in Frost, Texas.
So have I.
But now
here's the deal. Here's my issue with the fact that people give it such a voice. The vast majority of people are not racist.
I agree with you.
The vast majority of Americans in this day and age are not racist.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to backwoods Podunk, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, California, I mean, if you go to backwoods of anywhere, yeah, you'll probably, and even in the city, you're probably going to find some people that are going to have some prejudice because of what they've been through.
Like if you have an area that's predominantly one section of people and then some other maybe section, a person comes in, like this is my territory, or...
But
like
I mean,
I've experienced, okay, real quick. I've been a cashier for a long time. I've had some white people come through my line and don't say a word to me. Like, hello, how are you doing today? And they don't talk to me. They don't say anything to me. Hello, how are you doing today? They don't say nothing to me. Now, if I was a different race at that point in time, I would probably say, man, that person's not talking to me because I'm this color. But I'm like,
this is... We're so quick to be offended.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just really quick to... I mean, I don't know.
Just suck. Or people just don't want to.
People just need to quit being so sensitive.
Now,
there's nothing wrong with being sensitive, but it's just you can't. So when I was on the world race, just to kind of jump back to that, we did a lot, and it kind of ties into some stuff that people here have been doing just in leadership about being unoffendable. There's a book called Unoffendable that people are bouncing around and reading. But when I was on the race, we did a lot of talk about offendability, and we did a lot of what we called feedback, which is where you just kind of sit down.
This is going to the racism is
I'll segue, but basically in that we had to learn how to be unoffendable. We had to be willing to sit down with people that we believed the best in us, if that makes sense.
Yes.
That they had the best intentions for us, if that makes sense. And we had to just sit there and allow them to speak into our lives. And sometimes that's really nice and, oh, yeah, a pat on the back. And sometimes that's a, hey, you know what? When you wake up in the morning, sometimes you're just not pleasant to be around. And it's not just me. Other people notice it in our contacts here notice it, and it doesn't fit their culture. And, you know, I know that you're probably not a morning person, but maybe you can work. You know, there's just different ways you can call somebody up to just be better. And the fact is every person alive needs to be better. We all need people to speak into our lives to help us grow, to help us be better. I mean, there's never going to be a point in time when you can't grow and become just, and this is just pulling religion out of it. That was done from a religious perspective, and we do things from a religious perspective because we follow Christ, and that's who we are. So it runs really deep with us because we believe that we go from glory to glory. But when you jump outside of that spectrum, at the end of the day, we all want to be called up to something better because we can all be better. Some of the nicest, most genuine people I've ever met are atheists.
Okay, yeah.
Great people.
Yeah, I agree.
I have nothing but respect for them. They're good friends. They know what I believe, and you know, it's and
that could go with any type of person that does this or that or this. There's good people everywhere. There's bad people everywhere.
Where that goes is now you start looking at people who are just so quick to be offended by anything. And it's just like, you know, at some point we just have to grow up and either one, believe that people who are around us are there to bring out the best in us, or just wash it off. I mean, when I was like 3 or 4 years old, my mom took me and my brother David to get our haircut. And this is actually in that USA Today article. It's the first paragraph. She walks inside and she asks, hey, do you have any openings for a haircut? And the main barber looks up and he says, we don't cut nigger hair here.
Whoa.
The whole place was full. Not one man in that barbershop stood up and said anything. I have seen complete and total racism in my life. And that wasn't the first, nor will it be the last time that I've probably been called a nigger or a coon or an Uncle Tom because of my political views or my beliefs or whatever. I mean, it runs deep on both sides, but the reality is the more ear you give to it, to me, I kind of laugh in those situations because if someone, and that's why I say racism is a joke, is because if someone literally thinks that they can bring me down to a different level because the color of my skin, because my background or where I came from or my religious beliefs, it's just, to me, that's a joke. Like that's it to me. I mean, it's literally funny. I mean, so giving it an ear and going out marching, pulling down statues it's not going to be progress. It's just all we're doing is just adding fuel to a fire that's pretty much fizzling out. I mean, that's my opinion on it now, and that's coming from someone who's walked in it. But you know, it's just, I don't know. I just feel like we can be a lot less offended nowadays.
I just think about obviously some people out there, or a lot of people out there, would hear what you said and go, "Oh my gosh,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
there is racism.
Oh, there is racism, and there are people
it's
who are
not
racist.
a joke."
And okay, so yeah, it's probably when you experience it. Yeah, I can see how you could say it's not a joke, and that's probably true. My perspective on it is
I think it boils down to people just suck, and the person that sucks is going to look at whatever hatred is in their heart. Because I've been called, okay, I'm 30% Asian, but I've been called chink before just because my eyes. I mean, yeah, I look like, if you look at me off the bat, like, oh, you're a white guy. And yeah, 70% I am. I've been called a cracker before, and I was fat, and I've been called fat before. So people have hatred in their heart and will look at whoever they are in front of you and pick something about you and go off of it. Oh, your face just has hair on it.
But absolutely, and I don't disagree with that. But to my point is that it's your call. I mean, sticks and stones, man. It's your call whether or not we want to let that stuff offend us. And that's why I say to me, it's a joke. Because if you are that willing to try to bring me down because of the color of my skin, dudes, I mean, as trivial as it sounds, when I was a kid, sticks and stones. If you really, I mean, if you think that being black is ever, I mean, I work in construction. I work in an industry that's full of good old boys, and there's this dividing line between Mexicans and white people. You have all the stuff that you see that it can be very divisive. It's a very divisive culture, but somehow or another, I have found a way to rise to the top at every level that I've been placed in at my company. So now they're paying for me to go to school to get my degree.
That's amazing.
So that's the construction industry. If there's one that's going to be a good old boy country deal, you would think construction might be that thing. I started as a welder, became a pipe fitter, became a foreman, and now they're sending me to school to get a degree in construction management and eventually engineering. I mean, So what do you think? What do you think the solution is to our culture right now that is so offended at everything? I mean, Twitter is literally shutting down conservatives by saying "learn the code." Are you familiar with that? Yeah, I heard about it.
Like all of that.
Yeah.
And like Christians get crapped on all the time.
They're the most persecuted religious group in the world.
And we just smile and like, okay. And I'm not saying start a war or anything. I'm not saying that. And I'm saying continue to love, but I don't know if there's a solution. There's so many different beliefs in religion, and I don't believe in tongues, or I do believe in tongues, or water baptism.
Oh, yeah.
Like I wish there was like a voice. Like, look, dudes, if you believe in Jesus as the Son of God, and this and that, then yeah, this is a Christian. Like, okay, let's talk about this or that. It doesn't matter. But this is the foundation of Christianity. We don't hate gay people. We don't hate this type of people or this type of people. We love everybody, and like this is our deal. And I just don't understand. Like, you got YouTube and all these different things that are shutting down Christians and conservatives, and I don't know what the solution is to try to battle that. To I don't know what the word is. I'm not. When I think about it, it frustrates me. And in 2016, with the whole Trump and Hillary thing, I gotta admit that I was one of those people that was freaking out. I didn't know what was gonna happen, and now it just is like, okay, I'm not gonna worry about the next election. I don't give a crap if Hillary comes back to fight Trump again, which I hear she is. My faith is in God, and I'm just gonna trust Him. But at the end of the day, I'm a content creator. I'm small right now, but I want to make people laugh. I want to love on people. But I just don't know what the solution is to bring to the Democrats or the people that hate Christians and like give them a new look. Like, look. I'm a Christian, but I don't hate gay people. I don't hate people that's a guy that wants to be a girl, or a girl that wants to be a guy, or I might disagree with those things, but I don't hate you. So do you have a solution? Or, I mean, with this world of being offended?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, I've got my opinions on it, but I don't have a solution. I mean, I personally think that people just need to be willing to sit down and talk. And that's the issue, is that I think with this conversation, I think at the end of the day, you just have...
Even like Christians that get offended over other Christians. Like, oh my gosh, you're going to go to hell. I'm like, dude, shut up. Oh my gosh.
I mean, yeah, people just have to be willing to have a real conversation. And you just have it to where, a lot of people are trying to shut down conversation, or their conversation becomes a yelling match, and you can't just talk. Like, you can't just sit down. It's like, that's why, I mean, I don't bring up a lot of, when I have friends who post stuff, like some of my atheist friends or whoever post stuff that I obviously do not agree with.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were livid with like what's happening in Georgia right now with the abortion laws and some of that. They posted stuff that, you know, I could have gone on there and started typing in comments and you know, but it's like, what is it going to do? I like them enough as a person, even though we completely disagree on a subject. It's not worth a relationship. But that's just one of those things is, for some people, it's, if some of them might delete me if they know that I absolutely am pro-life and I absolutely love Jesus, even though I might cuss too much and not necessarily show it the way I should half the time, especially at work. But I mean, for me, I value relationship with people. I value difference of opinion. I love listening to debates and hearing the different sides of it. And it's one of, like, guys like Sam Harris or Richard Dawkins or Christian Hitchens before he passed away. I would sit there and listen to their debates all the time, just because I want to understand the perspective of the atheist or of the Christian or the philosopher or whoever. So, I mean, I don't know. It seems at this point, I'm not going to say this is a factual statement. From my perspective, it seems like you have more people on the conservative side who want to sit down and talk and just have a conversation. But on the other side, on the liberal, the progressive, or the socialism side of the spectrum now that you're starting to see pop up, there is no room for a conversation. It's our way, or you're a racist, a bigot, a homophobe, or this or that or the other. And there's no real answer to that. I mean, if you want to sit down and have a conversation that might have some pretty hard difference of opinion, if your first response is the default to name calling, and if you don't believe this way, then you must be this, then that's just not accurate. That's just not true. So, like, for us, like, I'm very much pro-life, but with being pro-life, I absolutely 100% think that there has to be reform to make adoption more available.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
And I think that more people need to step up to the plate and adopt kids. And I'm not talking about just a cute little baby. Some people need to step up to the plate, myself included. And like I said, it's something that Kayla and I have talked about. We would love to adopt one day. I think we probably want to have, we're pregnant with one, so this would be our second. I think we'd probably want to have one more, and then I would look to want to adopt. But I don't want to adopt a baby. I want to adopt a kid that just didn't make it as a baby, that didn't get picked up, and now he's just being raised in foster care. And I mean, a lot of people don't do it because it's hard, but for me as a Christian, I believe if nobody else is willing to do it, then we should be the first ones to step up to do it. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously there is a divide in the country, and I've listened to both sides, and it just seems like it spirals. It's continuing to spiral out of control more and more and more. And sometimes I just feel helpless. I'm like, man, what's the future going to be? What's going to happen in 10 or...
It's probably going to be a little rough. I mean, people don't want to hear that. That sounds negative.
I say this because I want to fix it. I mean, as a guy, we tend to want to fix things. And, like, even this platform or the couple people that watch or listen to this, like, I really wish that there was some kind of another Twitter, another YouTube channel that is in the middle to have a discourse of conversation that is not super biased one way or the other, where we could come and talk to each other.
People are going to default to what they're comfortable with. I mean, that's just so like you brought up, like, within the church, for instance. So it's my personal belief, like the word says, to worship in spirit and in truth, right? It's my personal belief that if you break down people by personality, you tend to see there are some people who are more analytical, and there are some people who are more, they're feelers. That's their personality type. So usually, it's not down the middle, introvert, extrovert, and this isn't true across the board. But from my perspective, it seems like you have a lot of the more analytical side who's kind of diverted off this way, and a lot of the more feeler side who have diverted off this way. So now you have truth and spirit. So you have your charismatic and your your I don't want to say Bible or truth based, because I feel like there's truth in both sides of it. but you have your conservative churches and your charismatic churches. Put it that way. And like I said, you have all personality types in both churches, but I feel like it in my mind, it makes sense that it almost has divided among in that way, if that makes sense. Like, you know, so now you've got people who they're just throwing stones back and forth over how can you believe in the cessation of this and that, or how can you believe in the movement of the Holy Spirit and baptism of the Spirit, or whatever that, you know, just all the different talking points that come up, and then Calvinism versus Arminianism, and all these just hot topics that we have within the four walls of the church. And the reality is both sides are supposed to have each other. This side over here is supposed to come over to this side when they start getting a little bit too far, you know, this way, and say, hey, I love your heart, but what you're doing is actually more of a distraction than it is revelation. So maybe we can come back to the word right here where it says this and bring it back to here. And then when this side is so bent on the Father, Son, and Holy Bible that there's no room for the move of the Spirit in the sense of people being able to operate in their gifts of ministering to people in specific ways, or however that may be. This group is supposed to say, hey, I love your heart, but you're holding rigid, and the word clearly says here that, you know, to earnestly try to prophesy, and we need this person needs somebody to speak life over them. And right now you're just hammering in on what they're doing wrong. We need to speak life to this person. And so there's like this divide that's happened when the reality is we need each other. So we all divert to what we are. And I'm by no means a psychologist or anything like that. This is just me like verbally processing just my thoughts on the whole deal. But we go to what we're comfortable with. Yeah. If you're more of a feeler, you're going to love the emotions that you're going to get in a room where they're playing worship with the lights and everything, and the drums that are loud. It just draws you in. But if you're an introvert, for instance, you enjoy worship where the lyrics that you're singing to the Lord are just deep and rich and just scripture-based, just raw truth, because your worship is happening here. It's pouring out of here, but it's the thought of those words, because you're more of an internal person in the way you process that means something. So this person over here is wanting to raise their hands and dance in the aisles and get a tambourine out. This person over here is wanting just really to sit in the presence of the Lord. Yeah. And it's caused this whole divisive church life that we see now too. So taking all that back to the outside of the church, I feel like it's the same thing. People are going to go to where they're comfortable, so they're going to go to their CNN or their Fox News or their Breitbart or their Young Turks or whatever they follow, and get what they want to hear because they want to hear their side, so they feel like they're validated in what they believe. And we have to, as people, the only solution is we have to be willing to seek understanding above anything else.
And to simplify for me, I think in all things, like, there's a balance. Like, it's not way over here or way over here, but we need a
force.
Yes.
It's like the Force, dude. Star Wars.
Okay, my mind keeps jumping. Like, when I first got saved, I was super religious. Like, I was way on the, I don't want to say, like, I was very aware of the spiritual side, the demonic side, and anything that smelled of world, if you would, I would close myself away from it, which is not to say that's bad, but that put me in a box of being closed off from other people. And so when I went to school, that religion started breaking off of me, and really was trying to find, okay, no, God knows our heart. You know, I am a son. He does love me. There is grace. There is mercy. And then I kind of found myself in the middle where people that I would know, if I wouldn't met them, man, why can't I talk? If I were to met them when I was a religious person, like really super religious, I wouldn't have even given them the time of day. But now where I'm at is I'm able to do my research and bring everybody in where I don't judge people. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. I used to judge everybody. Oh my gosh, look at them. Are they really feeling it? Oh my gosh, they do this. So I can't, they're probably not even saved. And like, I used to get my mind so wrapped up in that. Even like 3 years ago with the whole Hillary and Trump thing, Like I was so judgmental, and I think really in the last year and a half, that's broken off of me, where it's like, man, I just want to talk to people and find out why they believe in what they believe, and just do my best to love them and make them laugh and try to see where they're coming from. And that's another reason why I started this podcast, is just to talk to people, including you, Joel, because I feel like this is a new revolution in our life that we're going to.
We're not friends. I'm sorry. I take it. That wasn't nice.
Okay, Joel. Look.
I feel like we never talked about the boat. We never got to Alaska, did we? We just.
I don't even know if anybody's going to be able to understand this podcast. We just jumped around so much, and I'm blaming that all on you, not me, the host. You know, this is my show, by the way. The Joshua Cassidy Show.
I've got my own show. It's actually pretty good, but it's.
Oh, I don't see. What is it called?
What is it called? It's unnamed.
Didn't you want to do a show with me?
We talked about it, but man, I just haven't had time. I want to. I mean, we could just sit here and do this. We just need to get somebody over here on a laptop and look up all these fun facts while we do it, so we can make it more official and get better gear. You have kind of a Mickey Mouse setup, which is cute. It's cute. If you're like wanting to film yourself like skateboarding or something.
That's a really good mic. What kind of mic do you have?
I have an NTG4. It's like a professional mic. It's a Rode.
You know, Peter McKinnon uses that mic. Okay, you know who that is?
Nope, never heard of him. Is he?
You were gonna say her.
Is he in Nickelback?
You know, I'm really trying to just bring this together because I know that you have to leave in a little bit.
We did really good. We had like really good serious conversation, and then you just ruined it.
I probably did. There was that's the main reason I'm doing this is to get better at talking, and studying, and talking.
So I had a job. I was a volunteer. So there's this thing called AmeriCorps. It's like the Peace Corps, but it's stateside. And I was living in Georgia at the time with my best friend and his family, and I moved over there to start a clothing company with some friends out of Atlanta, which I did. And then things weren't working out in Georgia, but we started that company. So then I moved back to Huntsville, Alabama, where I was living with my family. And I started working with AmeriCorps with YVC, Youth Volunteer Corps. So it was one of my best friends, Brendan McFerrin. His mom ran Hands On Huntsville, which was the umbrella organization we worked under. So it was me and Brendan's sister who ran this volunteer organization. And his mom would just like walk in our office. He's like, hey, the news is going to be here in like 10 minutes. So you're going to go on live and you have to talk about like all y'all's different projects you have going on. We didn't have, like, we would go like to the Humane Society and play with dogs, or like go cut grass at like some old folks home, or go play cards with old people at that's probably ageism, I guess, or with the elderly. Or we would go to Costa Community Gardens and garden. Like, we just had little piddly projects we did. They're great projects. We just had these little projects we did. It's nothing crazy. But now I've got to go on live TV and fill like a 2 or 3 minute spot. And so I was not I hated public speaking when I was a kid. Like, but now I love doing it. You can throw me in front of a crowd. Like, I try to. Now I'm to a place where any opportunity I get to do public speaking, I thought
you were going to tell your boat story.
Well, then that was.
I thought that's what you were talking about.
Well, no, you were talking about becoming a better speaker, and I'm sharing how it was by being put in circumstances where I just had to do it at the drop of a hat, where I got really good at it. So now I can go anywhere and just talk.
I'm still thinking about my Mickey Mouse setup. I just can't stop thinking about it.
It's embarrassing me a little bit.
That's terrible. My gosh. Oh, I gotta ask you about your favorite bro. I'm sure you didn't listen to my other 2 podcasts, huh?
No, I didn't.
You
have a podcast? I thought this was like some kind of like social experiment or something.
Oh my gosh.
Well, so what's
I'm trying to keep this PG, but you kind of take, okay.
Are these shorts PG? I feel like they are.
No, I'm going to have to put a maybe blur
PG,
on there.
PG-13.
No, I'm doing a bracket of your favorite bro. Like, it's a bro bracket. So Derek chose Harrison Ford, and then I did my second podcast with Chris Elliott and Alex, and they chose 3 different people. Chris chose Chris Hemsworth, Elliott chose Ryan Gosling, and then Alex chose, what the heck, Alex? Not Tom Hardy, but anyways. So anyway, it's a bro bracket.
A bro bracket.
Like, who's your favorite dude? Like, your man crush. Like if you could just hang out with one dude for a day, who would it be? The coolest guy. And then these people are going to be on a bracket and they're going to fight each other. And there's going to be a winner of the bro bracket, and that will be like our spiritual father for the month or something.
That sounds the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
It just makes me laugh. I want to do it.
So now I'm more inclined to pick it just based off picking the person who's going to win more than picking who my favorite bro is. Now I'm just going to hustle the system.
No, you're not going to. I already know who's going to win.
Who?
Well, I'm saving my pick for last.
At first I was going to pick myself.
You would definitely be eliminated round 1.
No.
It's like a final bracket. I don't know.
How would I be eliminated?
Because no one knows you.
It doesn't matter.
No one was going to vote for you. People are going to vote.
Doesn't matter. If you put me in a fight with Chris Hemsworth,
you would lose.
Chris Hemsworth is show muscle. I would just throw a couple biscuits at him and let the carbs melt him away. He's probably a vegan. I'd fight him.
Dude, that is terrible. Not even going to entertain that. Like, you're just...
It's show muscle, dude. That's movie muscle. That's all that is. I'm not scared.
Have you seen his workouts?
Have you seen these shorts?
Yeah, I've seen them. That's why I have this pillow
You know how
here.
high I can kick with these shorts on? It's game over. Night, Chris Hemsworth. Who's round 2?
Okay. Who's your favorite bro? And it can't be you, because that's dumb.
Oh, my favorite bro?
Like your coolest guy.
Michael. So you're making it sound like it's somebody that I know.
No one knows Ryan Gosling.
We play Quidditch together.
No one knows what that is.
Everybody knows what Quidditch is. Literally, I would be willing to bet 95% of the people who watch this podcast, all 5 of them, know what Quidditch is.
That's very mean. There's like at least 30 people that watch this.
Are you going to look it up so you can validate yourself?
Well,
my God, how many views did I get? Bad.
I don't know how many people are listening on SoundCloud, Spotify. Oh, look, I got an
What do you know about pure volume?
Look, 36 views.
What do you know about pure volume? That's a music site right there. All the old bands used to be on pure volume.
Look.
And then MySpace came out and started doing their little pages.
We're not going to talk about that. We got to wrap this up because you got to go.
What time is it?
It's like almost an hour, and I don't even know what we talked about.
We talked about so much. It was really good, though.
Was it?
No.
Vote right now. Was this podcast the best or the worst?
Well, here. We'll need to.
Are you gonna pick your bro?
I'll think about it.
No, you gotta pick right now.
We've got time.
No, we've got 5 minutes.
We need to schedule another podcast.
Well, that's it.
Then we get into my adventure stories about traveling around.
Hey,
and looking at good stories
write in the
and all
comments below. Should Joel Dutton be back on the podcast?
that. Alaskan boat captain, missionary.
We haven't even talked about that. We didn't even talk about that.
Dude, I hitchhiked from California all the way to Alabama. I've got some
Did you really?
Yes.
How come we didn't talk about that?
Because you started asking.
No, you
deep
said that
intimate
racism
questions.
is a fluke or something.
No, I just said to me it's a joke because you can't let somebody just ruin your day or your life.
Hey, when I said that people called me chink, you looked at me like you didn't believe me, and I let it go, but I'm bringing it back. They did. They called me all kinds of... Look, my grandma is 100% Korean. South Korea, not North. And all my life, I had a couple
I
people...
would be willing to bet North.
Well, they're good now, right? Because of Trump. Make America great again, brother. Pick your bro. Your bro. Is it Donald Trump?
No, it's not Donald Trump. Why on earth
You have that MAGA face going.
How?
I don't know. You look like
My
one of
hat
those...
says Christian surfers. It does not say MAGA.
You look like one of those kids from the Catholic school that got yelled at by the Indian guy.
I would not ever do that.
Are you gonna pick your favorite bro?
No, because you keep interrupting with like you're projecting your.
I'm trying to
hate
save
speech.
this
You're
podcast with
throwing
my
hate speech
wit
on me.
and my humor and my charm. Look, Joel.
I don't have a favorite bro.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
You don't have a favorite? Okay, you were just creaming your pants earlier with Todd DeLong.
You literally just talked about how you want to keep this like PG, and then you say the phrase "creaming your pants."
I almost said panties, but I said pants. Just to let you know.
Oh man, golly, that's you just.
You said bad words earlier.
I did not.
Yeah, you said the N-word.
Yeah, but that was telling an actual story in context from when I got called the N-word. That's okay. But using the analogy creaming your pants is pretty rough. That's pretty out there.
You were... No, it's not.
I'm used to Tom DeLonge's an awesome
Is that your
musician.
pick?
No, it's not my pick.
He believes in aliens. Did you listen to that podcast on Joe Rogan?
Yeah, I heard about that. But no,
I think he's telling the truth or he's freaking...
I have no idea. Dude, space is one of the most ridiculous things in the...
Do you think he's full of crap?
I was about to say in the entire world, but that doesn't even put it in context.
Or do you think that he really saw something, he's with the CIA or whatever? We're talking about different things.
I thought I was supposed to be picking a bro.
You are picking your bro. Who is your favorite bro?
Oh, my son, Abner.
You can't pick him.
Why can I not pick my son?
Because he's not going to win against Ryan Gosling. Alex, who's your freaking pick? I don't remember. Or Harrison Ford's gonna beat Abner in the bracket. I'm sorry.
He's not.
No, people
is there gonna be is there gonna be a picture, a side by side picture?
There's gonna be a bracket like
but
the
there needs to be
NCAA
a picture.
like March Madness, but it's the bro bracket, and it's gonna be they're gonna fight each other in a jar. It's gonna be like
a jar
fight, a bracket. They know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm so lost and confused right now.
March Madness. You know what that is?
Yes,
You know how they have a bracket?
I do, because all were made to the Final Four this year.
No one watches them.
Yeah, a lot of people watched them because we're very good.
Did they win?
No.
Okay, then that doesn't matter. If you're not first, you're not.
Had a rough call at the end of the game. But
if you're not first, you're last. Look, we got very limited time, and I need you to pick your bro bracket.
I don't
It can't
have
be
a
your
bro-
son.
So it can't be me and it can't be my son.
It has to be somebody famous that people would know.
My dad.
No one knows your dad.
Have you
No.
seen the picture of my dad? If you put that picture with those Rottweilers next to anybody on that bracket, that's my pick. But now you have to put pictures with the bracket because I'm telling you, with Smith and Wesson, the two Rottweilers, and that jacket and that hat he's got on,
No one's gonna pick that.
Yes, they will.
You gotta pick a celebrity or
Nope.
something.
Nope.
You're not playing by the rules.
You never gave any rules when you first asked. You started
It's
making
just-
up rules when I started saying things
People
that
are
you
gonna
didn't want.
vote like their favorite.
They will. Just put a picture
Okay,
up.
if they say what's your favorite movie, and you say a movie that you made, no one's gonna pick that. They're gonna pick Star Wars or Avengers, not Joel's little movie.
Avengers was a good movie.
Yeah, we're not talking about that right now.
I'm just saying it was.
Look,
the
we
ending
have.
was really good.
Do you want to do? Are we doing an extra 30 minutes? You want to go an hour and a half? I would go an hour and a half.
What time is it? We probably could.
Well, we've been here an hour, but don't you got to leave? This is like Alex Jones level. It just keeps going.
Alex Jones, golly.
I'll do another 30 minutes with you right now to save the hour. Because I just feel like we just rambled. We're going to get better at this. Or I need to get better at it. I'm the host in my show because you know I have a show. So we're doing another 30 minutes? Who's your bro, Joel? Okay, look.
I don't
this is
know.
going to be
I
the
don't
best
know.
30 minutes of the hour and a half right now.
I don't know who my bro is. I legitimately.
You don't really have a favorite person? Like, man, every time. Like Christopher Nolan, man, every time he makes a movie. Or
Not really.
you don't have a dude like Jim Carrey or Tom Hanks or anybody? Like, man, I love that guy. Or my favorite basketball player.
Not to the level you're talking about. What you're talking about is like borderline creepy.
Everybody has a favorite guy. Are you going to pick me? Pick me.
No.
Derek picked Harrison Ford because of Indiana Jones and Han Solo. That was a cool guy to him.
I'm trying to
Are
think.
you really serious?
I can't. I mean, yeah, there's
People are clicking off this podcast because of your lack of ingenuity. I can't even
ingenuity. Is ingenuity really the word we want to go
Look,
with
this
here?
is why I'm doing this podcast, is to help me talk. Because I want to get to Ben Shapiro's level. Joe Rogan level. Everybody got to start somewhere where I'm like rolling in the millions of subs, and people are going to look back at this podcast and like, man, that's where he started at. But look at him now. He's like Oprah. But way better looking, of course.
Are you better looking than Oprah?
Yes, I am.
I don't think so.
Are you kidding me?
I was supposed to be on Oprah. My family was.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
We're talking about your bro right now. We're not going to talk about your family.
Nobody cares
We're not
about the
gonna
bro
talk about
thing. No, literally nobody cares about the bro thing. I think all 30 people who watch your podcast are like, yeah, bro thing's kind of cool. Sure.
Well, I don't know if they like it at all because no one. But I like it, okay, and that's all that matters. And it matters as well. But no one writes in my comments, Joel. Are you gonna be my? You need to be my hype man. Like, hey, go in and sub and subscribe and share. I just want to film you saying it.
What I'll do is I'll take your videos and I'll go post them on 4chan and say that your videos are highly offensive, and then
Oh my god!
I'll get your channel shut down.
That is terrible, and I slightly believe that you would do that.
I would never do that. I thought it actually kind of crossed my mind. It's fine. It's not.
Oh my gosh.
Bro, man, I don't have a bro. I don't know. There's a lot
Travis
of cool,
Barker.
There's a lot of cool dudes out there.
You don't.
No, it's not Travis Barker. Why would it be Travis Barker?
I don't know.
It wouldn't be a musician.
It has to be someone. You don't have a guy that like, man, that dude's awesome. You have to pick. I'm making everybody pick that comes on the podcast.
I'm gonna have to, man. I'll have to text it to you. I legitimately, I don't know who it would be. Like I like certain movies, like certain music, but I mean, there's nobody I'd be like, oh, that's my bro. Because now I'm stuck with that forever, and I can't make that commitment.
No. You could like write in the comments later, like, hey, I changed it or something. I'll let you do that. No one's gonna read it anyways.
You've got 30 followers.
No, I don't.
People.
I have 279, but only like
so 279 people are gonna leave this video knowing that some random person is my bro. And
It doesn't. Look, this is supposed to be a really fun thing, and you're really.
I'm overthinking it. It's part of my personality type. I overthink things. I really dig deep. If you give me a Myers-Briggs or a DISC assessment, I will sit there and think about those questions, but would I really do it this way? Would I do it that way? And I will overthink a freaking personality test where it says answer the first one that pops in your head. I'll sit there for 15 minutes like, what, am I really that way? You know, I think things through too much.
This is over an hour, and I don't think
it's not my fault. You want to spend the last 15 minutes talking about my favorite bro?
I didn't think it would be so difficult.
Well, you brought this on, Chip.
Oh my gosh!
I threw all Grandpa Chip's all war medals off the bridge. Talladega Nights, good movie. It's funny.
I don't watch secular movies.
Harrison Ford, Chris Hemsworth, Avengers.
Tell your boat.
Tom DeLonge.
Tell your Forrest Gump story.
What Forrest Gump
The
story?
one where you said you were on a boat or you were a captain or something. Like, it's legitimately true, right?
Yes, I was a boat captain.
The way you made your jaw move, I don't think that's true.
It's a true. I've got pictures to verify my stint in the summers on the Alpha One.
I don't now I'm getting to an area where everything's off.
It was a 47 it was a 47 and a half foot aluminum landing craft called the Alpha One. I swear.
The Alpha One.
The Alpha One.
In the military? Was you in the military?
No, I wasn't in the military. It was a Tinder boat. It was really just it was a
Tinder?
A Tinder boat. Not like Tinder, the website that you go on to.
I did not go on those things.
That's what I would say too.
Wow.
We're a Tinder boat is a boat that buys fish or crab or whatever from fishermen and takes them to the processing boat. So they're basically the ones who drive around and buy off the fishing boats. So
this is 100% true.
Yes, I told you 99% truth in my stories.
Okay.
Maybe that 1% is just where they may have been stretched for the imagination, but my stories are true.
How old was you when you?
This was after the world race. I was squad leading in. So I did the world race in 2011. 11 months, 11 countries, 11 months, living out of a tent and a backpack. And then I went back the next year in July and squad led a squad. So this is where you go out as an alumni and lead a team or lead the entire group of like 30 to 50 people and help them just assimilate and help the team dynamics. Your ministry switches from the people in the countries you're working with to the teams that are on the field underneath you. So your job is more leadership development and stuff like that. So I went and squad led from July for 4 months, so July until September or something. July, August, September, October, I guess. So I got home in November, so end of October, yeah. And then I went back out in January and squad led again. So that first time I went, went out in January, got done in Malaysia in May because I was out for 5 months that time. And so I used to play professional paintball. I was a professional paintball player.
A professional paintball player?
Yes. So I played on a team called Ultimate out of Atlanta. We were pretty much one big family. One of the worst teams, but we were just a family. We just loved to play, had fun. It was a blast. So I traveled all around the U.S. playing paintball. So I started out playing like D2 stuff, and I played local stuff. Then I started getting in like the PSP, like the national stuff. So this is back when there was like anybody who's played probably knows what I'm talking about. But it's back when X-Ball first started, and it's set up kind of like hockey points. But it was anyways, it was a lot of fun. So that's where I made the connection with Ted Wolfson and his family. So Ted is like a second father. His family is like my family, and I lived with him actually when I was in Georgia for a little bit too. So
you're talking about the fish boat thing, right?
Yeah, it's all. So Ted used to fish up in Alaska like in the 80s. He used to fish for halibut, crab. He was up there fishing for a while. So played paintball with them, then quit paintball and started doing other stuff, then did missions, and now I'm out of the country all the time. Well, Ted shoots me a message on Facebook or something, or an email, and he's like, hey, we need somebody to come up here and help us fish over the summer. Do you want a summer job? And it was pretty much right when I got done. So the World Race was buying my plane ticket back home. I was like, hey, can y'all just fly me to Alaska instead of home? And they're like, yeah. So they flew me to Anchorage, Alaska. And then I flew from Anchorage. I hopped on this little plane, little puddle jumper, and flew from there out to Ugashik, which is a village. It's out west. So north of the Aleutian Chain, west coast of Alaska, which is there's not an east coast. So the west coast of Alaska, north of the Aleutian Chain, south of like Dillingham and Naknek. So Dillingham's where like Sarah Palin's from and all that. So it's right over there.
Okay.
So went out there to fish. I got there like a week or two before Ted and them would. So I went out there and there was this family. It was Vic and Roland Briggs. Rolly, as we called him, he would use the boat to run freight and do all kinds of stuff. So I went out there to help him get the boat ready for the season. Then he and I left a couple days later. And I'm living on a boat with him out there just hauling freight because it's in landing craft, so you can get into all these little tight, hard-to-reach places with the boat and haul fuel and food and all kinds of stuff for fishing lodges and all whatever. So we're doing that. We come back. Ted and them are finally up there. So I was there to fish. Well, he had the boat contracted out to be a tender boat. And his selling point was it's an aluminum landing craft. It can get in really shallow water, so the fishermen aren't having to take their skiffs, their little longboats out into the swells and all that, so they're protected from the weather more, so we can get in closer. So had the boat contracted out. I was up there just to help Ted fish. So like a week, not even a week into the season, the guy that he hired to run the boat quit. So and he had to make that contract to get paid. So in my extensive experience of driving jet skis on Smith Lake in Alabama, and the 2 weeks I spent on the boat prior with Rolly, I was the first person up in line to have to captain it because they had to stay up in the village because they held the fishing permits. So if you hold the fishing permit for where we were fishing up in the village, you have to be there when you're fishing. You can't just leave.
How long was you doing this for?
Just for the summer. So the salmon season, it runs.
Oh. So
usually you run your freight in May, and end of May, beginning of June is when I'm pretty sure when the salmon start.
So what's the
maybe even later, maybe the first or second week of June. I can't really remember.
Yeah, is there any crazy stories out there? Like the craziest?
Oh, dude. Yeah.
What's the craziest story you had out there?
So I did it for that summer, ran the boat, did really well, hard. One of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire life. I mean, just excruciatingly miserable.
More than being my friend?
Dude, this is like a whole... So it was easily harder than living in third world countries on the mission field. Easily. So fishing games, they'll set a schedule. Every day they'll tell you when the next opening is where you can drop your nets and fish. And it's all based off the tides. So let's say they start...
To be clear, you said this is harder than living in a third world country?
Absolutely, 100%.
Holy crap.
And I was in India, Nepal, Thailand, Malaysia, Cambodia.
Alabama.
Watch yourself. Bite your tongue. Dude, I'm from Huntsville, Alabama. Do you know that there are more engineers in Huntsville, Alabama than any other state?
Man, you always get me my whole life. But man, I think that was the best shot.
Why would you throw
at you?
Alabama has such a bad rap. Go to Huntsville. Or go to Gulf Shores. Those are the two places. Go to Huntsville or Gulf Shores.
That was
everything in between.
That's my finest moment right now.
Not so much.
Okay,
but Huntsville, Gulf Shores.
Why is it the craziest job?
So I was trying to tell, but then you wanted to be rude and talk about the great state of Alabama.
I had one shot.
Where are you from?
Let's talk about. We got to stop rambling. Come on.
I'm telling a story and you're ruining it. You're just. I'm helping. Used a really inappropriate analogy, but I didn't do it because I had things standard. All right, so imagine, let's say fishing game says, all right, fishery opens at 4.
Okay.
4 in the morning, you can drop your nets. So they drop the nets usually within the next tide change where boats are coming, bringing us fish. we can only hold so much fish, and now we're having to go from where we are to the processing boat to offload the fish we have, then go back to the fishermen. So you're basically just hauling all day and all night. So by the time you do your last pick, they're going to say, all right, you're done. You've got to wait to offload. So now you're up just waiting to offload. You're trying to nap in between. And then they're going to say, okay, your next one's going to be, they're going to change with the tide. So it just by the time and we had to go upriver to the village and pick up their fish and bring them downriver, which is what made it so hard. If we just had to stay down on the bay, it was fine. So it's literally, you can see the village from where we were. But when you take a river that's, that winds back and forth, and you're having to possibly buck tide, which means you're running against the tide up this river, that means you're moving at like less than a knot. So I can't remember, a knot's like 1 point something miles. So you're literally crawling with little to no sleep up this river to go pick up. I mean, it's just it's so hard. Like,
so the schedule makes it the worst.
Schedule makes it the worst. Then having to go up to the village and back added hours to our schedule. So by the time we went to the village, got that fish offloaded, and set our anchor, and finally got to where we could sleep, we had to be up in a few hours to be ready for the next opening.
So this is like
you're just like working
20 hours, 22 hours
of just grinding.
Where do you sleep at?
On the floor on a little pad. So the cabin of the Alpha 1 was like an 8 by
the Alpha 1.
10.
What is that?
Alpha, ALPHA. Alpha 1.
Alpha 1.
That's the name of the boat.
That's the boat. So you're living on the boat.
We lived on the boat. It was like an 8 by 10 cabin with a chair here, and then a little bitty bench table here, and then one little blow-up mattress underneath here, and one little blow-up mattress like this. So that you slept like
golly, what made you do that for a summer?
Live a good story. I told you earlier, man. I didn't say it during the interview or during the podcast, but I'm a firm believer in living a good story. If it's going to make for a good story, then at the end of my life, I want somebody to look at my life and say, "Man, that was like I want to read that story. That's a good story."
So you did that for only one summer?
Two summers.
2 summers?
The next time I was supposed to go was after I'd already gotten married, and then it just wasn't. The timing wasn't really good.
Did you make a lot of money doing that?
Enough to pay my way through welding school and buy an engagement ring.
Golly, man.
So
that's insane.
Yeah, that's how I wound up even becoming a welder. Was up there. Ugashik Village is a village of like 11 people. And if anybody who's watching, if you go on Google Maps and you look up Ugashik, Alaska, it's going to show you this little bitty village. I can point to you where I lived. Like, it's that small. It's a village of 11 people year round, with one private airstrip, which is Rolly and Vicks, then one state airstrip that was out there that the state maintained.
How many people were you with on the boat?
Just me and one other person, except one time where we got stuck in a storm with 3 people on there, and we were stuck at a bulkhead at a dock for like 4 days with limited food and water.
So the other person on the boat, was that the guy that you're talking about, or some other dude?
There was a guy. So the first time around, it was a kid that went up there to fish. What was his name? Paul. A kid named Paul, who was up there with Ted to fish. He had to come work with me because I needed a deckhand pretty much. And he had just to help me. Because like when I'm tying off to other boats, somebody's got to retrieve the lines and tie us off and all that. And then the next time, my buddy Will from the World Race, one of the guys that I squad led with, or that I raised up to be a squad leader for the second time I went out, when I was out for 5 months, he came out after he got done and he worked with me.
Man, that's
so
crazy.
It's a really, really rough environment. The mosquitoes are like the size of hummingbirds. You're basically eating ramen and smoked salmon out of a can all the time. Every now and then you could just take a fish out of the tank and head it and gut it and grill it and all that. But
when did you get saved? Did you ever?
Yeah, that was. I mean, I got when I was a kid, but I've been born again. For a long time, I was one of those people. I was like, oh, I sinned. I gotta go get saved again. But
when was the moment where, like, okay, I'm doing it. I'm all in on Jesus. I'm gonna try to live my best life and just love Jesus, and I'm gonna listen to him and listen to the Holy Spirit and let him change me or whatever.
I was at that point. I mean, when I was the kid that was in youth group and did all that stuff, and then I was at a First Baptist church and I was in middle school, and they'd sit there and, if you go home tonight and get hit by a car while you're crossing the street, do you know for a fact that you're going to go to heaven, kind of thing. And, you hear that, it's like, well, I don't know. I better go up there.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when I was talking about being born again.
Yeah, I've done that a million times.
But it was one of those things where I spent so much time in those little conservative kind of churches where they kept preaching that message. It took kind of getting outside of that where I was able to really try to find sonship, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Because for me, that's what it comes down to is,
Yeah.
I was, as soon as I acknowledged Christ, I believe that's where salvation takes place, is the acknowledgement of who Christ is and what he did.
Yes.
That happened when I was a kid. All the other stuff was fear-based stuff that came out of me not knowing I was a son.
Yes.
It was that orphan heart, orphan mentality.
Yes.
Which, I mean, even to this day, I still deal with that. I mean, it's
Which part?
just orphan spirit stuff. I mean, it's one of those things where if you're not careful, you can easily have an orphan mentality where you're not walking in sonship. But it was where I really began to understand that, where I feel like.
When did you really start beginning?
I mean, I don't want to say it was when I was on the world race, but honestly, I'm just looking back at when I moved back from Georgia to Alabama. When I moved to Georgia the first time, there was some pretty significant stuff that happened that led to me going. It was just really apparent as to what it was for me at that point in time. And then over there, I was living with my best friend Sean and his dad. And his dad, Bill, just an awesome dude. Just awesome dude. He had a roofing company. And I started at that point. I was making dentures. My dad, and my stepmom were dentists, and then after high school, I started working their dental line making dentures. I made fake teeth.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I got a job doing that when I moved in with Sean over in Georgia, but then eventually that kind of fell through because of the economy, and then his dad had a roofing company, so I just worked with him. So we'd sit on the roof and listen to talk radio and just talk, and that's where I just learned about...
Like he taught you that, or through the radio?
Just doing that with him taught me... I guess, so my parents got divorced, and, I didn't have a lot of time with my dad when I was a kid, so in the time that I was with Sean's dad, it was more of a time... that I think every guy, women need it too by all means, but it's a different thing. But I think every man needs to be able to sit down with another man and talk about what they believe and why, and be challenged in what they believe and why, and be asked thought-provoking questions and answer them, and then get told why you're looking at it through the wrong lens, or why you may be right, why you may be wrong. Yeah. Then there's just such a need for a father.
Yes.
And not that my dad didn't do it, but it was just that there was a very long gap where there wasn't that presence in my life.
Yeah.
And then when he came back in the picture, there's just different circumstances that made it hard, just because of stuff just baggage that I already had picked up. So Sean's dad was just one of those guys where he just asked, "What do you think about this?" Or something would get said on the radio. "What do you think about that?" And I'd say what I thought, and he's like, "Well, what about this?" I was like, "Oh. Well, I don't know."
When was this now in your timeline?
So that was like back in 2000.
This is after the world race.
This is before. This is before world race
okay.
and all that. This is like 2008, 2009, something like that. So it's just, I don't know. There was just something different that happens, and that was where when I was living with them, was when I first got into missions. I went to Senegal, West Africa, with their church. And then that was after that, I was like, oh man, I love this. The culture, the people, and just getting to go and just do life and see how other people live. For me, it hit on a whole new level. So then when I went on the race, there's been a lot of ways that stuff has been confirmed in my life to where I know that I know that I know. Like, my salvation is just true and real.
Yeah.
Just the way that the Lord confirmed the race, and the way that he confirmed going to Africa the first time. It's all there. Me moving in the first place. There were so many very specific things that were some actually, I would say, miraculous, and others that they were so specific, and I mean, you just knew as soon as you got the words, like, oh, wow.
Like,
when I was going on the race, I was looking at the application online, I was reading about it, and I was like, I know that I want to do it, but I knew if I did it, my dad would say I was being irresponsible, and that I was just running away from life responsibility, and I just want to go on a trip. I knew that's what he would say. So I was like, I needed confirmation.
Yeah.
I'm not one who's big on asking the Lord for confirmation, because I believe in just really believing and walking in faith and promises that he has for you. But I got a message from a guy that I met one time. So a really good friend of mine. So when I moved back to Huntsville, sorry, there's like a backstory to this. I moved back to Huntsville after I left Georgia. So after all this, when I moved back home, I prayed, like, God, I need you to put specific people in my life so I can continue to build on what's been going on. And I was at the park, and this girl walks up to me. Her name's Kristen. And she looked familiar, but I couldn't remember where I knew her from. She starts talking. She's pushing a stroller with a kid. She starts talking to me, and she calls me by name, and I'm like, hey, how's it going? But through conversation, I realized the last time I saw this person, we passed out next to each other on our sleeper sofa after playing like beer pong all night. That's the last time I saw this girl.
Okay.
Getting hammered, partying, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, and so we were talking, and it turns out she's like in ministry and all this other stuff, so we start talking, and it was one of those kind of divine.
So you saw her a long time ago.
So this is like back in 2009.
Yeah.
So she walks, this is literally within a week of me moving home and starting that job with the volunteer organization. So this is after being on the roof with Sean's dad and those stories and all that.
So you met her before that?
No, I just said this is after. This happened after. So I met her originally before all that partying. Then I moved away.
Yeah, that's what I'm
And then I
talking
came back home, and now we're both have done a complete 180 the way we were living.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where I just knew, it was like, oh, wow, like Lord brought her my path for a specific purpose and reason. So we are talking and catch up, and she invites me to this ministry thing, so I go, and through that friendship, her friend Jonathan, who I became friends with, who also wanted to go on the race after me, he tells me about this guy coming in town from Florida who's got a ministry on there, but you've got to meet this guy. You just got to meet him. So we sit down and we start eating. We're like at Waffle House or something. And this guy we have never met, never talked to him. They didn't tell him anything about me about him. They said, you got to meet him. Really cool dude. He's got like a ministry in Panama City, like helping people, spring breakers who just got too drunk or couldn't drive. Like they just help them out, get them fed, get them home, save stuff, And he's just reading me like a book. I mean, just read my life out.
So for people that don't know what that is, what does that mean?
He just began talking about personality things and things about me, things I was dealing with, struggling with. He didn't call out anything specific. Like he didn't say, oh, you did this on this date, but he was saying things that nobody at that table should have known or knew that I was internally just struggling with, trying to process through. And he just sat down and we started talking. He's like, you're dealing with this, and I can see this, and for some reason this has been a hard thing. And he just starts reading through just all this stuff, and I'm like, like just getting like blasted with all this stuff, all this information. So fast forward to when I'm going on the race, and I was praying because I knew that my dad was gonna be like, no, you're just running for responsibility. I get a text from this guy. We exchanged numbers, but we never talked. I think we texted maybe 2 or 3 times, and we never talked after that. Random text. I was like, hey, how's it going? Anytime the 2 or 3 times we ever texted before, he would just send some kind of encouraging thing that it was kind of like a mass group text kind of thing. So then he sends me this text like, hey, how are you? Like very specific. I knew it wasn't a group text. It was specifically to me.
Yeah.
I was like, pretty good. How are you doing? He was like, I'm doing good. I just had a vision of you like in Africa or Asia or somewhere doing like missions. And I'm on like the World Race website looking at it, trying to figure out if I need to do this.
That's crazy.
And I'm getting this text and I'm looking at it.
And there's no way he would know that
he didn't know I was looking into it. At that point, nobody knew I was looking into going into missions.
And this guy just sends you this message like, hey, I just got this vision of you in Africa.
Yeah, doing mission work.
That's crazy.
So I sent him an application that day. And of course, everything that I said would happen with my dad did happen. But I said no. I know that I'm supposed to do this trip. So it kind of, in a weird way, it destroyed my relationship with my father only to rebuild it in the right way because our relationship was built on the wrong foundation. So there's just a lot that was not being communicated, and through that, it just kind of destroyed that and broke it down, and we didn't talk for months. I came home, he wouldn't answer my phone calls. But then when we finally talked, everything got made whole. It was really crazy the way it worked out. But there's just so many things that have happened, kind of bringing all that to this, that I just know, even in the midst of where I'm just walking through a complete pit of just brokenness and dealing with a lot of stuff, even now, I mean, if there's something I'm walking in, and you know how you can easily just fall into just anything. Yeah. It's one of those things where at the end of the day, I know where I'm at, even though it takes me walking through some of this mess to get back to that place of like walking in sonship. So I don't know. It's just been one of those things where it's just been kind of a crazy journey. But I know your original question was like, when did I know?
A question that I personally want to ask you, because, man, it really touched me. Sunday, your wife gave that powerful testimony with the song, and not to I know I'm talking this to you, but I got to also paint the picture to them. You know, I have a son and you have a son, and they both have medical problems. And your wife gave a beautiful testimony. Can you talk about that? Because I want to ask you a question.
Yeah, so I'm at work, and I get a text from Jen, Pastor Jen, and she's like, "Hey, have you talked to Kayla?" Because I know she calls me, and she's like, "Hey, have you talked to Kayla?" And I was like, "No, what's going on?" She's like, "Well, she tried to text me, and then I've been trying to call her. She texted me saying I needed to call her immediately. That I've been calling and I can't get through to her, and I don't know what's going on. And I thought maybe you talked to her." And I was like, and at this point, I'm concerned. I'm like, is she going into labor? Like, what's happening? So I start calling. I can't get through. So then I send her a text. I send her a Facebook message. I'm like, what's going on? And then she calls me, and she's like, okay, so Abner swallowed a cashew, and he's going in anaphylactic shock, and the ambulance is on its way.
Anaphylactic shock.
Anaphylactic shock. It's when you have an allergic reaction. Your throat will start to swell up to where you can't breathe. You'll get hives, all kinds of stuff. So she gave him Benadryl, and the ambulance had just gotten there by the time she was able to call me. And yeah, it was just super scary. You never want to hear that. You never want to even have to think the worst when it comes to your family by any means. So I literally dropped my stuff at work, hop in the car, start driving to Children's Hospital, and I'm like, well, she doesn't have the car seat. So then I was like, hey, I'm going to go to the house and get the Pilot because the car seat's in the Pilot. I didn't say that, but I was like, hey, I'm going to get the Pilot. So I went home, but then I found out she already had the car seat, so I just grabbed some stuff and headed up to the Children's Hospital. And at that point, he had started coming down because they gave him a breathing treatment and everything. But it's just one of those things where, you know, with Abner, we've been dealing with allergies and FPIs and him spitting up and throwing up and just different. We were able to trace a lot of it back to FPIs, which is like
FPIs.
It's like a disease, I guess. She's done a ton of research on it. I myself have not. But I want to say it's like a disease where your body rejects certain food proteins. And like if you were to give Abner like avocado, he would probably throw it up.
Yeah.
Because it triggers his FPIs. Or like bananas, for instance, he'd probably throw it up because it triggers his FPIs. So if you give him specific foods, it's not an allergic reaction. He'll eat it and he'll be fine. But then like within an hour, guaranteed throwing up. Throw up for like 15, 20 minutes, then he's fine. But his body just rejects it. So it's something that kids can, I don't know that they all grow out of it, but they usually grow out of it. So that plus the allergies, this has been hard. So for me, it's been harder just watching. So this might sound bad or not. I don't know. I'm one of those people who sometimes it's like, you know, sometimes you walk through stuff and healing is just going to manifest when it manifests. I don't know that that's right or wrong. Some people are going to say it's wrong. Some are going to say it's right. For me personally, I've learned a lot of stuff in the moments where, yeah, it would have been great to be healed immediately, but I wasn't. You know, I learned a lot through that. So, and I think that's more because God works all things for the good of those that love Him. And I think that scripture really speaks to that. So, there's never going to be a situation or a circumstance where you can't see the good in it because of that. God's never going to waste an opportunity to grow you. He's not. I don't believe He's going to purposely harm or hurt you. To do that.
I agree with you.
But if something happens because of just the fact that we just live in a world where stuff happens and there's other people that, you know, stuff just happens. You know, I don't know. But for me, it's just been just a patient journey of I'm believing that healing's coming for my son. I just don't know when or what it looks like. And Kayla has been just proactively praying and contending and fighting for healing and getting frustrated when you don't just see it manifest right then and there. So it's one of those things where I've just tried to process through it. Because I was in Nicaragua. And there's this ties in, I promise. We're in Nicaragua. There's a guy there. We go to his house because there's like this big discord happening in this church. And the guy starts talking about what's going on. The pastor's wife did something, so now there's like this big internal drama going on at this church. And the whole time we're talking, this guy he had been home ridden because he got hit by a car and he couldn't afford surgery. And his knee, I think his left knee, was like pretty much destroyed. He can't walk on it. I mean, he can't work, nothing. So he's talking about wanting to just make the church right and get it healed and right. And it's like, man, you're holding on to all this bitterness, and we want to see you healed. The church, yeah, obviously we want to see that, but we want to see you healed because the pastor needs you to be there for him. I think he was maybe an associate pastor. I can't really remember. But we start talking to him, and we're like, man, we're gonna pray for you. So first we pray for what the emotional stuff that this guy was dealing with, like just the stuff that he was wrestling with. We dealt with that, and it was after that, then we started to deal with the physical. Then we started to deal with the leg and wanting to see healing come. So we lay hands on his leg. We start praying for him. And I pray, and I say, okay, how does it feel? He's like, it still hurts. But I mean, I can move it a little bit. Okay, well, we're going to pray again. Because Jesus prayed more than once. We're going to pray again. He's like, yeah, that time I could feel it. It feels better. And he starts moving it. And I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to pray again. So we pray again. He's like, he starts stomping on it. He was like, okay, we're going to pray again. He was like, we're going to keep doing this until you get 100%. By the time we got done, he was jumping up and we have it on video. He was jumping up and down. My friend Tiffany Prater's got the video. But he's jumping up and down on his left leg. He could not walk on that leg when we were there.
That is crazy.
So I don't care what any people can say what they want. They can say, oh, you're crazy. God doesn't do that anymore. I don't care. I have seen that manifest right then and there by laying hands on somebody and just praying in Jesus' name. I've seen that happen. There's video showing this guy jumping up and down when he could not walk on that leg. He got hit by a car. Same thing in Thailand. I've got the video where the old lady, same thing, hit by a car. She got hit by a truck. We were there for ministry month where all the men do ministry together.
Yeah.
And we start praying for this lady's knee. And she said, when you were praying, I had this vision. And I saw this truck come. These are her words. She said, I saw the truck come, but it swerved and it missed me. It was like it never happened. And she starts dancing in the front of the church. And I've got video of her dancing up front with my buddy Lamar, who passed away a couple years ago. But yeah, I mean, I've seen it. I have laid hands, and I've seen people who could not do within a matter of 5 minutes to 30 minutes, depending on it. And there's more stories, but I mean, I've seen it. So it's so hard to come home and to have that expectation, but then to not see it come to pass with, especially with your kid.
Yes.
And one thing I talked to Kayla about, because we got into, so the night of our 1 month anniversary of being married, we got into a really bad car accident. She fractured like L1 through L3, pretty much broke her back, couldn't walk, was in a walker. We're like newlyweds, and I'm having a baby.
Holy crap. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was so gnarly. But one thing that I noticed is, like, so we were at ALFC down in El Paso for one of their conferences with some of the church leadership. And they were praying, and somebody said, we're going to pray for people who have back problems. And Kayla and I just stopped by for a little bit because we were actually having kind of a date night that night. And part of me wanted to make her go down there, but I didn't do it. And she didn't want to go down there. And I want to say that there was a fear of disappointment, of going all the way down there just to get back up and to be in the same pain.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's just there's so much to unpack when it comes to that. And I feel like I'm probably overcomplicating it. But when it's that close, when it's so close to home, I feel like sometimes it's in the worst way possible. And it sounds really bad. It's harder to ask because the people that you're asking for mean so much to you.
Yeah. And
you hate so badly to see them in pain. The fear of disappointment of not seeing it happen right then and there can almost be crippling. And I feel like that, for me, is something that I've noticed.
Because, man, Luke was born. There's a long story with Luke. When Shelly was pregnant with him, the umbilical cord wasn't attached properly, so he was getting half the nutrients. So when he was born, like 2 weeks early, he was like 4 pounds. And so from then to now, 2 years, his lungs have not been fully developed. So we have to give him breathing treatment every night. He has trouble breathing. He'll walk around. He always has trouble breathing. Well, this last past week, and I struggle with the healing thing. My faith is, yes, I believe. I've heard different things of, well, your faith wasn't there, or this needs to walk out. And I prayed for lots of people to get healed. but it is tough with my son. This last week, he was thrown up the last couple days, and then the last 5 days he's been having this wicked cough, where he coughs so bad he can't breathe, and he's crying, and I'm putting my hands on his chest, and I'm like, in the name of Jesus, I thank you that he's healed. And man, I was mad. Like Sunday morning, this past Sunday, I was so mad. You know, and I hate saying this, but I mean, I'm just trying to be real. I was just mad at God. Like, man, God, I put my hands on my son's chest, and I'm believing in healing, and nothing's happening. I'm like, what the heck? And then, man, Kayla's little testimony really jacked me up, where she's saying, like, you know, in the middle of Abner having this reaction, you know, that song bubbled up, I Raise a Hallelujah, and people that don't know the song could look up that song and the story behind that song, and man, it just made me cry and reestablish my faith. Like, you know, I don't know everything. I don't know why stuff doesn't happen, or why healing doesn't take place, and I still wrestle with it. But it just gave me such faith. Like, man, you know, I know Abner has it just seems allergies or problems or things, but you guys are just, you know, full of faith and just standing bold of healed, you know, and Luke just has some breathing problems, and I freak out, and it just really helped me, man. And I don't know what y'all do, man. Like,
I mean, for me,
to keep pushing forward and, like, man, just keep believing and just.
For Kayla, she's a powerhouse. I mean, she's just. His word is his word, and it won't return void.
And you just got to stand on that.
Pretty much.
Because for me, I've been in this. I'm not gonna lie. I get a little doubt in me. I'm like, I still believe in Jesus. I still believe. I've seen so much stuff in my life where I can never reject that, but it puts a little doubt in me. Like, man, God, this is happening. Like, and you got this section of the church that doesn't believe in miracles. It doesn't believe in tongues. I mean, I don't understand it, and I'm in a sense I'm kind of talking to you about it because it jacks me up. And I've talked to Pastor Derek and Jen, and they've helped me, but I still want to believe, and I still am going to believe, but I just don't know, man. Like, in that aspect of what y'all do, to keep pushing forward in that. For me,
there are times and seasons where I have to hang my hat on the experiences of what I've seen. When I'm in valleys, I have to remember the peaks, because those are the things that remind you. We have peaks to remind us, to use as reminders of God's goodness when we're in the valleys. We experience these highs and these just amazing moments. So that's our fuel to get through the next valley, because we know that He's good, and He's only going to take us from glory to glory. Like, He's never going to waste an opportunity to grow us and to make us better than what we are. You know, if you Graham Cook puts it really well when he talks about living in God's instead. Graham Cook's one of my favorite, just teachers, preachers, whatever you want to call him. I mean, just his ministry's called, I think, Brilliant Perspectives. This English guy, so he's got this great accent. But he talks about living in God's instead, and how if you go through, is it Isaiah 61, where it's like, instead of mourning, I'll give you like the oil of gladness. And he goes through all these different things of, like, even like when you're in the midst of like your brokenness and sin, how He gives you a double portion. Just talking about how God already has things stored up for us in the moments where we feel like He's not even there. And you have to look at it from that perspective of what can God be for you and for Shelley and for Luke now that He can't be for you when everything is healthy and whole? Who is He trying to show you that He is in the moment where everything seems to be going wrong, that He can't show you? Because we're never going to see God in His complete entirety. You know what I mean? There's so much to unpack when you begin to talk about the nature and character of who He is and how vast and grand and just big when you think about God, you know? So when you think about, it's like one of the things He talks about, it's like, if you get diagnosed with cancer, I mean, who is God going to be for you in that moment? Who can He be then that you did not know Him as before you got some word of death from a doctor saying you have cancer.
Oh, man.
And then the other thing I think that's important is, so Kayla and I, we believe in the prophetic. We don't do it as much at our house as we don't do it enough at all, but we need to. My friend Mason and his wife, he's very big on this. One of my best friends. But the prophetic.
I thought I was your best friend.
No. But this is where it's the importance of the prophetic. So if you go in was it First, Second Corinthians, where it talks about like earnestly desire spiritual gifts, but especially that you prophesy.
Yeah. So
you have to have people there. You have to constantly be prophesying into your life and into the lives of those around you that you love. Even those that you don't love, people that you don't know. But it doesn't have to be some crazy word. It's just a matter of speaking truth and life into someone. So it can be as simple as this. Think about it this way. When Jesus tells the disciples, okay, we're going to go to the other side. So Jesus, God in the flesh, says, let us go to the other side. They go, he falls asleep, they get in these storms, and surely we're going to die.
Yeah.
And he's like, what is the deal? Like, seas be still, and it stops, and he's like, where's your faith? They thought they were near death. Now, you have to imagine, these guys were sailors. They were actual boat captains. They did it like the rough way.
Yeah.
And that was their livelihood. So for them to be in a storm that was so bad that they were near death.
I never thought of that story in that context of that's their life.
That's what they did.
That's
they
the
were
first
fishermen.
time I thought about that.
So imagine if they got in a storm that was so bad that they were scared to death.
And they lived the life.
So now think about it this way. They had a word from the Lord saying, let us go to the other side. All they had to do was stand on that word. If Jesus said they were going to the other side, that means they were going to the other side through hell or high water.
Yeah.
Literally. All they had to do is stand on that word of, no, we're going to the other side.
Yes.
Period. When that storm comes up, it's like, oh, that's cute. Yeah, okay, well, I already have a word from God saying I'm going here, so this can't be the end. Yes. It's like, so I have just books and journals of like words that people have spoken to me, and I've seen some happen and I've seen some beginning to happen. And that's my fuel. It's what I hold on to. We have a word about, we were told, so we went to the prophetic conference at the McKinney Church, One Cause, that we all just love. We love them. They're like a second family to us. And they're literally family to Derek and Jen, and basically spiritual family to the rest of us. But at that conference, we went there, and we had gone 2 times before, and we never had gotten a word. But for some reason, before we even left the house, I had it in my head, I'm getting a word tonight. Yeah. Because we had served and served and served here, and just I just knew. It was just weird. So we're sitting in there, and I want to say it was Brandon Holler, and then somebody else from his church in Austin. And it wasn't Brandon, but it was the other. I can't remember his name, but I have the CD at the house, or the little MP3 or whatever. And they're walking around, they're calling people out, and then I hear this guy say, "Young man, stand up," and I look up, and he's looking directly at me, and I'm like, "Oh, you want me?" So I stand up, and he's like, "Are you married?" I was like, "Yes, sir." And like, "Where's your wife?" I was like, "Right here." They're like, "Stand up." So Kayla stood up next to me, and he begins to speak, and he starts talking about, all right, one of your issues is you don't think that you're smart enough. I'll have to get the word and like re-listen to it, but basically in a nutshell, it's like, I don't think I'm smart enough. There's a lot more to me than I realize. I'm going to go back to school. The Lord has a job in line for me where I'm going to make a lot more than what I'm making right now. Just start saying all this stuff. He started prophesying about specifically our son, and how he's going to be very well known one day. He'll be famous, just all this stuff, and just crazy stuff. So I'm like, okay, well, and I was like, we're going to stand on it. So I believe in being I believe when you get a word, you don't, unless God is specific in saying, wait on the Lord for this, it's our job to pursue the word. That's what I believe, that we work towards the word. It's because I believe a word is calling you up to the next thing. So if the next thing is a raise, my question is, I need to make more money? Okay, well, there's an opportunity out there for me. I've got to start digging and finding where this opportunity is. So it started with possibly moving to Georgia and going to the welding school and teaching that I used to work at. And then it turned into, well, I'm going to maybe open my own school. And then that turned into, well, if I want to do that, I need to become a welding inspector, which was on my list of things I was going to do anyways. So then I'm like, okay, well, that's going to be my first focus. So then I talked to my company. I was like, we all pay for it. And they kept kind of running around the edges with it. I was like, you know what? Screw it. Kayla and I have the money in savings. We're going to invest in me, and paid for it.
Yeah.
Got my CWI. It's one of the hardest trade certifications you can get. It has like a 70 or 80% fail rate for first-time test takers.
Is that the one you got last year?
Yeah. So extremely hard.
Crap.
So I got that. And then there was a big transition happening at work. So then I wound up going, and I competed a couple years ago in a pipe fitting contest. Got first place locally and then nationally. So I was a gold medal pipe fitter through ABC.
That's crazy.
Associated Builders and Contractors. So then I went back the next year just to go to the competition because my new boss invited me to go because he thought if I won the year before, I should be able to go and enjoy it the next year and go have fun and just hang out with everybody. So I went to Long Beach, California. And while I was there, me and him sat down and talked, and it turned into a promotion and a raise that was enough for me and Kayla to be taken care of, which I felt like was step one of that word. And then that turned into, hey, we want. Did you finish college? We want to send you to school. So
This is recently.
I'm starting college this summer. So that word was 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and we're walking it out. I'm about to start school, and it's paid for. I'm going to Southern Mississippi, USM, for construction management.
Dude, that's really amazing.
So for me, I recall, to bring all that back home, I recall to those moments when it's not working out in the timing. Like when you get a word that says you're going to make more money and you're going to have a better job and you're going to do this, you're thinking, boom, right now.
Yeah.
Boom, right now. And so often we can be so quick to just that I want, and then you bring in just the social media stuff and that right now that you kind of have. And it's taken 3 or so years to step into this. Now, some of that could be self-inflicted, some of it may not be, but for the most part, I have a peace about where I am and where I'm going. And every time when we kind of work through this thing, we only followed peace. We almost moved to Georgia, but there was not peace there. So it's like, no, we even went to go stay with a friend of mine to go and kind of see what it would be like if we went. And I went and interviewed at the school and all that. And the job was mine. They pretty much told me to name my price.
Whoa.
And I mean, there was limits, obviously, but they were pretty much giving me an opportunity to pretty much say what I wanted. So it was one of those things where if there wasn't peace there, we weren't doing it. So it's all that to say there's so much power in the prophetic because that is your let us go to the other side. So when the storm comes, well, if someone's told me that my son has a future, that he's going to be known and he's going to have a voice to this next generation, that's his call, I'm not going to freak out in an allergy deal.
Jesus.
When I was
amazing.
To put it in perspective, when I was in kindergarten, I got strep throat, wound up having heart failure, liver failure, lung failure, and kidney failure. My heart stopped. 6 years old. People gave my dad a lot of flack because he didn't seem worried. My mom was by my side, and I love my mom, but she was by my side the whole time, wouldn't leave me alone at the hospital. She was there with me, and it was in the blizzard of 93 in Birmingham. So we were snowed in the hospital. And people were like, my dad's name is Norval Harding, so everybody calls him NH. And so in Alabama, NH turns into Nate because we just draw everything together. So everybody's like, Nate, you don't seem like you're worried. Like your kid's literally on his deathbed and you don't seem worried. But he had already had word after word after word about us and who we were called to be and stuff. So he why would he worry? What is worrying going to do? If the Lord has already given you this promise and this thing for 10 years down the road, why am I going to worry about some bump in the road here? Because you're going to get to this pot over here, period, because I've already got a word that says you will. Does that make sense? That's why I feel like the prophetic is like one of the things you have to hold on to, because that's what helps sustain you when you're in the valleys, when you're walking through that hard stuff.
Man, I don't know how many people ever listen to this, but that helped me so much. Just in where I'm at now, I was just holding on to the word over Luke and just not letting those things jack me up and take my peace. To end this sucker, You got to freaking give me the bro bracket.
Dude, I don't have one. My
Look,
back hurts.
I
My
know
knees
that.
hurt.
Dude, I gotta censor your bum.
My knee hurts from sitting that way the whole time.
No one wants to. Come on.
I'm just trying to stretch. I've been on this couch.
There's multiple ages watching this.
Multiple ages.
Multiple ages.
I don't want to see them. I don't know what a multiple age is. Is this thing on? Check.
Yes, it is
check.
on.
Check.
Now I'm
check.
gonna have to go into the audio settings.
You can't edit it. You already said you weren't gonna edit
Well,
it.
I have to edit that. People's ears are gonna blow up. Look, are we just gonna call it quits? You're not gonna do a bro thing?
I'm gonna have to think about the bro thing because I don't have a favorite bro.
Can you please sit down and finish
Dude, my
this?
back hurts.
You have to sit down.
My knee hurts. My back hurts. I've been in construction equipment all day, moving dirt, metal, and bronze.
Yeah, you messed up the bathroom in the church. You gotta mop that before you leave. You hear it right here.
I'm giving somebody. I'm giving somebody an opportunity to come and serve the Lord. They come in here on Wednesday.
That is terrible.
It'll probably be me and Kayla because we'll be here Wednesday unless we have a baby. Dude, I'm kind of pissed like a racehorse. Like I don't.
I'm gonna have to bleep that out.
You said cream your pants earlier.
Yeah, but you've been saying bad words today.
What? I said the N word in context of a story of my life that I experienced. That's not saying a bad word. That's telling a true story. So being
half and half, you're able to say that.
I will send. I'm going to send you a picture of the. Actually, you know, we're going to pull this up right now.
No one's going to see that.
No, they don't have to.
So
but
since you're
I want you to see this.
Listen. So since you're mixed, you can say the N word.
I don't say the N word just because it's the N word. That's just it's offensive. It's offensive.
Offensive is?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to cut this.
I'm not gonna say it just to say it.
I've been trying to wrap this up for an hour and a half.
Well, you keep saying stuff that doesn't need to be said.
Well, I said something.
I want you to read this because you think that, oh, yeah, is this a true story? Dirk. I don't know if I believe you.
Dirk. Wow. We're gonna say
man, look at me. I'm flat bottom boat, Bass Pro Shop from Texas. Dirk.
Better than Alabama.
No, it's not. Read this story right here. First paragraph. Read it out loud.
Peggy Dutton had dropped in at a barber shop with her two adopted sons, David and Joel. The barber asked me...
How is that funny? Read it out. I want you to read it out.
I don't see any pictures, though. How do I know if this is
Oh, my gosh. I'll pull the pictures up next. Just read the story. I'm
not going to read this whole thing.
No, I said the first paragraph. Read the first paragraph.
Peggy Dutton had dropped in at a barber shop with her two adopted sons, David and Joel. The barber asked me if the two children were of mixed race, and I said yes, they're biracial. He said, we don't cut N-word hair.
And there's the word right there.
They put that in the newspaper?
Yes, USA Today.
Oh, that is...
Black kids, white parents.
Is that you?
Yes, that's me right there in my dad's lap. N.H. Dutton holds
Where are
Joel
you at?
in my dad's lap right there. That is little Joel, 4 years old. I can send you, like, if you want to actually edit it in.
Oh, but I don't want to edit it.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to edit. So here is, like, USA Today Life, right?
Yeah, send me a picture. I guess I'll pop it in.
Here's the watermelon picture. You thought, like I told you, my stories are 90. Now scroll this way.
Is that you on the left? Which one's you? Is that you?
That's me. That's me smashing watermelon. You thought I was kidding.
Yeah, I don't want to edit this. You have to talk, so I'm just showing.
I mean, you're just showing pictures like an idiot. So if that's not, and here, for context,
that's
just
really
so
you.
we're gonna let the viewers decide. Let me find one more thing, and then
right
we're gonna wrap
in the
it
comments
up.
below, is Texas better than Alabama?
Well, all the people here are gonna go, oh yeah, Texas is better. Oh man,
this is gonna be a global phenomenon podcast, and I guarantee you, Texas will beat Alabama any day of the year.
Not in football.
If there was a state civil war, we would destroy Alabama. 100%. Yeah.
There's more people. So yeah, I'd probably say yeah.
Well, even probably Alabama would fight on our side.
They probably would. That's why I don't think there would be a fight there. I've got to find this one picture to wrap this up.
Look, we've been trying to wrap
I know, but this is the wrap up. I've just got to find it. Just
hours now.
Patience.
I don't think anybody's listening to this anymore. Hey, if you're listening to this right now,
split it up into a 2-part.
But I don't want to. I'm just gonna upload it all. You got okay.
I've got to find it, but you have to. Okay, hang on. Let me just check. I'll get it on Facebook. It's fine.
This is really sad. I think
No, this is you. Here's all bro thing. Dirt. We're gonna let the people decide.
What are you trying to do?
I'm gonna pull up this picture right here.
What picture
Now,
is it?
people can look at this picture and put this picture up against anybody in your bro battle and tell me that they don't think that this right here. See, you people decide. Put this guy right here up against Chris Hemsworth. See those two dogs? Smith and Wesson. Yeah, that's a package deal right there. All right? My wife's calling me now. Hey, Kayla.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, I keep trying to wrap it up, but Josh keeps strong.
I've been trying to leave for an hour and a half,
It's
Kayla.
not true. I'm leaving.
Here's the deal. We ordered a pizza from Sam's.
This is live.
You want to get it in 20 minutes?
Yeah, I can go grab it and bring it home.
Do you guys enjoy this random talking, or should I cut
right,
this
sounds
out?
good.
Leave it in the comments below. Well, just
Yep,
someone leave
sorry.
a comment.
All right, bye.
This
Are you kidding me, Josh?
This is the worst podcast ever because
Just
of you.
split it into two parts.
I don't want
that's
to.
That's my bro battle because that right there is the package.
I can't
right.
believe. So you're picking your dad.
I told you.
So you're picking your dad over your son?
Well, yeah, because my son's a baby, so he's probably gonna lose a fight. If you said it's a battle, if it's a fight,
Okay.
I'll put money on the guy in the wax coat and the two Rottweilers. That's just me.
So for your bro pick is your dad with the two Rockwallers.
For now, I mean, I'd pick him over friggin'.
You can't pick Jackie Chan or someone that everybody knows.
Nobody likes Jackie Chan.
Everybody loves Jackie Chan.
Nobody likes Jackie Chan.
Are you kidding me? Everybody loves Jackie Chan. Except you.
Nobody likes Jackie Chan. Let's be real.
You can't pick Bruce Lee, Jet Li.
Bruce Lee doesn't even do karate.
Oh my gosh. Okay, maybe I am going to edit this
Listen, I
out.
told you I've got to take a piss. You want to sit here and talk
Okay,
about
thank
Doug
you for
Trump?
tuning in the Joshua Cassidy Show. If you have made it this far, please.
Just delete it. You don't want to be friends with Josh Cassidy.
Josh-
This guy Joshua Cassidy. He can't be trusted. He's a vandal.
Okay, this might be the worst. All right, please
Get that camera out of my
like and share. Just end
that
it.
camera out
Just
of my face.
They can't hear you from there.
I don't get that camera out of my face.
Please just turn it off. End it. It's right behind.